I'm back. I'm kicking. I am live right now on your screen chat. Hello, once again, everybody here. Holy shit, that was interesting. Sorry it took me a minute to come back, back around. My computer, half crashed. It was really weird. I tried to I don't know what I was doing exactly with the video that we were going to watch, but it wasn't loading. And so I tried to refresh the page. And when I refreshed the page, uh everything went black. All three screens just froze up. One monitor went black. Another monitor was actually playing Remnant's voice. And then another one was frozen. Then they all went black. And then everything stopped and there was silence. Actually, except for my background music. I could still hear my background music the entire time that everything occurred. Which is the funniest, which is actually kind of funny when you think about it. Kind of creepy too. And then all of a sudden, everything just went back to normal-ish, other than my nightlight screen. Because I had the little orange light, the blue light filter on. That just disappeared, and so I had to go back and reset it in my settings. But yeah, stream died. And so, I was like, okay then, this is strange. I was yapping the entire time, because, I wasn't sure if I was live or not. So I had to go back and restart everything. But because it half crashed, even though it said things were still open, VTube Studio for my model here, it wasn't working, so I had to go in Task Manager and end things manually that way. I probably should have done an actual full restart of my computer, but I wanted to try to get live as fast as possible. But by the time I went and tried to actually manually end things in Task Manager, it probably would have taken me just as long, but instead of a proper restart. So we're going to see what happens and going forward here. Your monitor abandoned its children, basically, yes. Yeah, it's rough. So, god damn it. Epstein contacted Mundus to break stream. I guess he wasn't happy that I beat his fucking ass. I do kind of wonder if it was actual Devil May Cry that killed the stream, because I did exit out of the game I don't know, 30 seconds before it all kind of happened. And I wonder if something occurred in that, I've killed the game before after stream. But then I haven't, but I also been not really on my computer much after stream. Too much. At least I'm not still streaming, and I'm not, playing a video and all the fun stuff, too. So I just kind of wonder if the older game actually did it. But then we can always blame Sarah's stock, because that's funnier. How to restart takes so long for streamers. Still takes me 30 seconds on my 11-year-old PC. It's not the restarting definitely takes a minute to do so, but it's not exactly the restarting itself. It's having to open up all the programs all over again. So I have VTube Studio, I have VBridger. I had to open up Steam first before I opened those two up. I have to open OBS up, Discord. Then I have to actually get the stream scheduled on the back end, get the tags, pick out a thumbnail, all that fun stuff. And then I have to do things separately for Rumble, because Rumble's on its own thing. And it's just a bunch of little small stuff to actually prepare for stream before I can actually start the stream itself. And then I do the little intro thingy for water, pee break, whatever the case is, just to kind of finalize the rest of the little details. And then once the back end is basically taken care of, more or less, which is why YouTubers or streamers do the little 5-minute intro to get everybody in. The kind of the stream starting gets people in. You take care of the last little details, and then you start the stream. So yeah. There's a little back-end knowledge for you, chat, for how streamers start, or at least VTubers start streams. Basically a lot of little stuff, yes. Lots of little stuff that adds up there. Is this stream a Lindsey Graham memorial stream now? Basically, since it also died just like him. Um, so, but anyways. Oh, that's right. Speaking of little things I have to do for a stream, I have to go into OBS and then manually choose it from here. Then there's application audio. That's not it. Why is Edge Game Assist on? Why are you gay? I don't know. It's probably something to do with the half restart thingy there. Anyways, so we were gonna do some React Slop for the rest of the night since we finished the first DMC game. Here. I was yapping about Sarah's stock before stream crashed. Cause if I remember correctly, okay, I'm trying to remember what I was saying before everything died. But basically, when the whole Sarah stock drama was starting or happened earlier this year, I debated on covering or not. Because on one hand, it's just like stupid right-wing e-drama. And like, who kind of like, to me that's not really news, right? If you want drama, there's plenty of drama channels out there that would farm this kind of stuff. But like, actual news is to me like what Trump does, or different articles, what things are doing in the House and the Senate, you know, actual like policy and things that are happening within the states, and that to me that's news. Not, okay, another e-whore was being a whore and sleeping around and that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, if you enjoy that kind of stuff, good for you, but I personally don't. And that's why I didn't cover it. But at the same time, I was debating on doing it because it was like, she popped up out of like nowhere last year and was all over the timeline. She's supposed to be this young, pretty Zoomer that, you know, was trying to bring back traditional families and traditional gender roles, was claimed to be a virgin even though she was like 23, was gonna getting married, and actually did get married last year, even got married in front of the Pope, or at least, no, she got her marriage blessed by the Pope. And this whole ordeal, and then it comes out she was definitely not in fact a virgin. Surprise, surprise. And she was also fucking Elijah Schaffer, her boss. And now Elijah Schaffer's life is also destroyed too. Well, it's Elijah Schaffer, so there's no surprise there. And it's like, okay, so no surprise. And that's the thing, right? Because like, there has been this massive trend, and I'm assuming it's what Remnant's going to cover here in this video, how modern women are hijacking the right. Where there's a bunch of women that are coming out and being like, look at me, I'm so based and trad. Because they know that's what men want, and it's an easy way to get attention and even money from men from doing that. Even though, they're really not actually all that based and trad themselves. I don't know why anyone actually believes she was a virgin. Like, virgins do not exist. A Foy turns 16 and she gets at least one body. Like, it's that simple. It really is a six. And even then, I know girls when I was in high school that lost their virginity when they were 13 and 14 years old. There's actually one girl I knew who lost her virginity when she was 12. Like, women aren't virgins anymore. We can lament about, you know, how that's bad, and I would agree. But there's no such thing as a virgin whatsoever in the modern age. Here. The only thing you can hope for is a relatively low body count, which that does exist. But also depends on your definition of low as well. So, hence why I say you get them before college. Because if she's 18, 19, 20 years old, she'll probably have a few bodies on her, but not in the double digits. You wait till she's 25, she's going to be in the double digits. And while we don't actually know the exact body count of Sarah Stock here, you know, and in this little wanted poster, it's seeing that, you know, she claimed to be a virgin, lied to her husband about it, her fiance then husband, and was fucking her boss behind everyone's back. Yeah, well, I'm gonna be guessing it's more than one. There. So, anyways. So let's actually watch the video because I'm probably going to end up agreeing a lot with Remnant here. And and what he's saying is I would agree, especially since I myself am a modern woman who is hijacking their rights. Unironically, I am. Hmm.
Fellas, my brothers, we have a predicament on our hands. That being, women in our political spaces, specifically on the right. Now, what do I mean by this? A lot of you are going to be making assumptions right now, and the incorrect assumptions at that, before the video's even played. So, I'll just clear them up right here for you. 1. I didn't make this video just to call women grifters. I'm not even going to make the arguments that they're really lying here. In fact, I'm going to explicitly try to avoid using anybody's names here as examples. Because with this video, I'm not trying to stir up drama.
He put a picture of Sarah Stock. I get not wanting to name anyone in particular, but you put up a picture of Sarah Stock in the very beginning of the video. That's basically naming somebody. But I mean, hey, I mean, I don't know. I know there's genuine women out there. I'm also not gonna say all women on the right are grifters, but 9 times out of 10, they probably are. It's just best to assume they are, because you're gonna get hurt otherwise. It's just important to remember that. And no, I am not that 1 out of 10, chat. Once again, it's best to assume otherwise. Mm.
With anybody. Secondly, I'm not going to argue that all women should be like barred from politics or something like that. That women can't say their opinions online.
I am. Yeah. I say repeal the 19th. I say also repeal the 15th while we're at it here. You know what? We'll go as far as anything past 10 should be null and void. Well, yeah, okay, women can have opinions, right? But just because they can have opinions doesn't mean they should be actively involved with politics. I mean, come on. I know that little photo he had of the woman with um, you know, the cloth around her mouth there, the gagger. I don't know, that sounds pretty good to me.
That women can't say their opinions online. No, that's not what this video is about. I made this video right now because my opinion.
There was that meme of like of women having their own little like voting polls, right, where they get little cute stickers wherever they vote, and it's for like which the cutest little unicorn, that kind of stuff. We also need that for like for the internet too, just like Floyd Twitter, Floyd Reddit, Floyd Facebook. Just segregate. We just need to segregate again for women and for browns. It would be great. It'd be fantastic. I'm not even like joking on this either. Excuse me. Because there's always been male only and female only spaces. Now, female only spaces still exist because women are the weaker sex. And that's been taken over by trannies, but they still technically exist. And people can recognize that. But male only spaces don't exist anymore. Women always try to demand and encroach upon it, being like, let me in! Let me in! I want to be part of the boys' club too! You know, or it's discriminating, blah, 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 blah. And we do need to actually bring back male only spaces, right? Male only bars and clubs where they can wear sexy little suits and smoke their cigars and drink their whiskey and talk about politics and the world. Which, I mean, that's more or less what Twitter has turned into. But, like, they still need actual real IRL places to socialize in. And so, therefore, just segregate. Yeah, no more Boy Scouts. Right, good point, chat. Boy Scouts, years ago now at this point in time, has been turned into just everyone's scouts because they let the girls in. There's Boy Scouts and there's Girl Scouts, and Girl Scouts did a lot of different things than Boy Scouts, unfortunately. Which I was a little bit of a tomboy, so I want to do the cool things Boy Scouts were doing. So that kind of, I didn't really like that, right? But I still, now that I'm older, Boy Scouts should just be for boys, because boys will be boys. Boys have more energy. Boys have more autistic, practical, interest, where they like to work with their hands and get dirtier and play rougher, things like that. Girls aren't interested in any of that kind of stuff. We need to bring back segregation. It's that simple.
About women being in political commentary has changed over the last couple of months. You see, it all started with Trevor Sheets. A few months ago, he made a post that went viral. The top of the post on Twitter was, "My wife was formerly promiscuous. I was a virgin." This
Oh,
sparked a
that
huge
post.
discussion on the internet, especially for Christians when it comes to body count. Specifically, if a man should marry a woman who formerly led a promiscuous lifestyle, but repented and became a Christian. The fascinating part about this is pretty much everybody on the Christian right unanimously agreed that even if she became a Christian, a woman having a high body count is a bad thing. There are consequences for living that lifestyle, and for you to marry her is to take on that baggage. Women who sleep around, they tend to contract more STDs, they tend to have more children out of wedlock, and they're less likely to remain loyal to you.
I, I'm not trying to laugh at his points. It's just the picture that he used for the baby is a meme. I love his editing style. Like I know I should actually address his points, but he has amazing editing for his videos. I do love the insertion for the different memes as well, even for a little bit more serious stuff. It's just great. It's just fantastic. But yes, he's actually correct. On these points. And it also lowers their parent bonding process because there are hormones, there are chemicals that flow through people's brains when they have sex, believe it or not. I know, fascinating how that kind of works. And for women, theirs is particularly important because it gets their glued to the man for life. Uh, and the more they have sex, the weaker it becomes because you keep on breaking that over and over and over again. So your body learns just to not trust that hormone anymore because you're just going to keep on breaking it further and further. So when you actually do finally settle down at 30 and you have, I don't know, let's say a body count of 30 for the sake of the argument, well, you've paired and broken that 30 times over, so it's nowhere near as strong as it was originally. Hence why it doesn't really work out so well at that point in time anymore. And to be fair, men have a similar process too, but it doesn't work the same. It's more for protection. And it's still not good for men to sleep around, but it's because it's not as strong and essential for their survival like it is for women, they can kind of get away with it a little bit more.
Just to name a few. And even if she didn't have any of those things, it still felt very unfair and wrong for one person to lead a very promiscuous lifestyle while the other one waited until marriage. Also, just to jump in, my opinion remains the same for both men and women. I think it's bad for both men and women to sleep around. Obviously, they should both be treated the same. However, with all of this in mind, it leaves us with one question. What should the man do in this hypothetical situation? The woman led a promiscuous lifestyle while the man remained celibate. Well, according to most men, he should not marry her. He should instead find somebody else who has a low body count, somebody who waited until marriage. Whereas for the Christian women online, their take was different. If you're a man and you judged her for her past and held that against her, you didn't want to marry her because of who she was, that was unchristian of you. Yes, the man would be taking on baggage for marrying her, and the consequences of her promiscuous lifestyle would affect both of you. But isn't that the Christ-like thing to do? And to do otherwise would be immoral. It would be wrong for a man to quote-unquote not forgive her for her past, as they would say. Tons of women online voice this exact same opinion. It would be wrong for a Christian man not to marry this woman who repented because of her body count. So
Yeah, I remember this whole drama one happened a few months ago, and it's just like, oh, Mary. They kept on bringing up Mary Magdalene because she was a whore, and Jesus forgave her, and she started a whole life and all that fun stuff, but he didn't marry her. The thing, right? Like, okay, great. So you have a woman who genuinely repents, realizes the error of her ways, because it is important to remember that women are victims too, right? Everything in society from the day that they were born are telling them go be whores, go be girl bosses. They're like even schools are made to be for girls. That's why boys are punished for not wanting to sit down and learn. That's why they put on drugs help make them focus at 8 years old, right? Everything is curated for girls, and then they're told to go to colleges which are just slut factories so they can just sleep around. You know, They can do whatever they want. They're strong, independent women. They don't need no man. And they can waste their most fertile years of their life, just having fun because they're still young and dumb and all that kind of fun stuff. So, like, they are still victims in this whole entire process. And so I can definitely see the argument for giving them forgiveness. And if they're genuine about that, then sure. But does it mean you marry them? Like, there's a difference. Now, what to do with those voids that will legitimately repent and feel bad about that kind of stuff, that's a hard question because, we are having fertility crisis. A lot of these women are white. The white race is actually unironically dying out. And, if they are genuine and want to change their ways, then it would be nice for, a guy to come in and take the chance and actually try to have kids with her, because we do need to have more white children. And if she's a genuine believer, then hopefully she would teach her children not to follow in her footsteps. The chances are, one, she's not actually a genuine believer, and two, why is it the male's responsibility to actually take it? Like, yeah, it would be nice if one guy be willing to, but why should he technically? And you just kind of, you got to debate that, right? You have to it's really up to, I guess, the individual man to decide, right? And there's obviously plenty of men that have made that decision. And you know what? Good for them. I genuinely hope it works out, right? You know, but for most guys, it's not really worth the risk here. Like, especially since so many of them only pretend to repent because they see it as a new way to gain more attention, basically, right? Like, okay, they've realized that the culture is changing, society is changing, and if they continue on too long with this path, they're going to be reprimanded for it. But if they say that they feel bad about it, right? If they, try to turn course early on, they can be one of the good ones and therefore won't be punished as badly, and maybe hopefully find a guy. I mean, that's definitely possible. That's honestly the more likely aspect of stuff. Hmm. So, thank you, Boog, for the $2 reviews. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. In the 90s, there was a born again virgin thing. Yep, that still is technically a thing today. Though not as popular because it's a kind of a meme because it's retarded. uh, and to me, the big issue from what I've seen is entitlement. I was taught you gotta bring someone to a relationship. Many women I try to date offer nothing. Happy to take it though. I mean, yeah, that's another problem too. There are so many different facets with modern dating these days, and that's just one of them. They can't cook, they can't clean, they don't want to have kids, they have a high body count. They are more interested in their Jew daycare job. Like they can't sew, though I don't think anybody can sew these days, but it's still something that they can learn and it would be useful for the household. I don't know how to sew either, by the way. Um, there's really nothing there except existing. Which for a lot of guys, that is kind of enough, right? Because they just want somebody to be loved, right? At the end of the day, everybody just wants to be loved. Uh, but does it mean you existing is enough after the initial wave of emotions is over, right? Like you gotta be a little bit more than just there. I am the table. Yeah.
So what if she sold pictures of herself online? So what if she slept with like 20 men? You're just a bitter man who thinks you're so much better than these women. And that's not Christ-like of you. After all, Jesus is all about forgiveness, bruh. So wife her up. Those were the two dominant positions on this matter. They both agreed that it's better to marry a woman with a low body count, but it's still wrong of you to quote-unquote hold her past against her. So let's ask ourselves, why is there this stark divide between men and women on the Christian right?
I should probably let him talk a little bit more, but I want to throw in my 2 cents beforehand. I think it's because, like I said before, women are victims. So a lot of women on the right, even though they're very vocal about having a low body count is actually good, you know, you know, religion is a good thing, becoming Catholic or Orthodox or whatever the case is, right? A lot of these women do have a past themselves, right? They do have they did sleep around at least a little bit. Maybe they weren't exactly best in their previous relationships before they found God. Or, whatever the case is, they have their own sins that they deeply regret. And so therefore, if they can some manipulate, because women are manipulative creatures, manipulate and browbeat men into feeling bad, it will still work in their favor as much as possible because women will only go for things that are promising for them. All women are gold diggers at heart. And so therefore they're only going to go for things that are advantageous to them, and if they can change the conversation to benefit them, they will do so. Hence why they're all kind of banding together to essentially protect themselves. Because they all have that. Because once again, there's no such thing as a virgin these days. Like it's important to keep this in mind. And I'm saying this as somebody who is not a virgin myself. I've never tried to hide that fact. Like thankfully I don't have a ridiculously high body count, but it's still higher than I prefer, you know? Like I still try to, settle down, have a family, all the fun stuff. Didn't exactly work out in my favor. I still have a million things that I fucking regret and skeletons in my closet, and everything like that. But it's like there's no woman is different in the modern age like this, no matter how much they preach and pretend to be on the man's side. And so therefore, that's why they're all kind of banding together to try to protect themselves. Because if they don't, then they're gonna be thrown into the ditch too. It's that simple. Like, it's just that.
By the way, if you're enjoying the video and you'd like to help the channel, be sure to hype it up. That helps immensely. Anyways, let's get back on topic. Now, some of you might be content with the answer, it's just because they're a woman, lol, and to leave it at that. But I have a theory that explains these things a lot better. Let me elaborate on this point. When this was a hot topic online, I decided to go up to my mom and I asked her a question. Hey mom, if I fell in love with a woman who had a high body count, maybe she was even like a former prostitute or something, but she changed. She changed and became a Christian and repented. What would you think of that? What would your reaction to that be? While I was saying that, her face instantly became horrified and shriveled up like a raisin. I'd want you to have nothing to do with that woman. Find somebody else. And then I realized something. There were other women who also thought that the man shouldn't marry a promiscuous woman. What was different about these women exactly? From what I saw, these women tended to be mothers, or they were generally women with a self-proclaimed low body count. These individuals tended to be less sympathetic towards the promiscuous woman in the hypothetical. Whereas for the other women that said the man should marry the promiscuous woman, they often made posts about how they once led a very promiscuous lifestyle and that they've changed. And they're so thankful towards Jesus for changing them. Those women constantly said that the man in the hypothetical should forgive her and should marry.
I mean, that kind of reinforces my point here that all these women have some sort of hidden past, right? Where they were promiscuous and done lots of things that they regret. Hence why they're trying to defend themselves in this argument. So that does line up with basically what I was saying too.
Her. It's the work of the devil to call you a slut when you changed. You're a born-again virgin. All of this comes together to form a theory I have. The group alignment theory. It's just a name to make things easier to remember, I swear. It goes like this. Our opinions are not shaped by objective morality, but simply what benefits our group we closer identify with, generally.
I swear I did not watch this video. I know I agree with Remnant on, like, vast majority of things. But I wasn't expecting basically word for word this relatively the same, though he's more eloquent, has better words for this because of the eloquence, obviously. But still, I mean, this lines up with basically what I was thinking too.
For example, women with a promiscuous or questionable past are more likely to say that the woman should be forgiven in the hypothetical, and that the man should marry her. That's the good thing to do. This is because they're not approaching the hypothetical from an objective, moral standpoint, but rather because they're advocating for and defending themselves. When she hears that hypothetical, she tells herself, that woman is just like me. What if I was in this hypothetical situation? I'd want somebody to defend me. I wouldn't want those consequences to befall me and to lose that good man that I'm in love with. And that's why they do it. That's why they defend the woman and say that the man should forgive her and that he should marry her. It makes perfect sense. Men, you can't even be mad at these women. Their perspective is not based off of morality. It is simply what's logical and benefits themselves. They are advocating for their group. She is advocating for herself.
Literally what I called before he went into his whole 2 cents. I'm glad I'm on the same wavelength with him. Does that mean I'm smart, chat? If a white guy who's making very well edited videos, big channel, all that fun stuff, and I'm basically saying what he's saying, does that make me smart? Should I be proud of myself? Because that was basically my theory too. Because it makes the most logical sense there, based on my observations as well. I didn't really throw my hat into this fight because I don't get into Twitter drama. Once again, that's why I didn't get to the whole Sarah Stock stuff either. But doesn't mean I don't observe it. I mostly when I am talking politics, it usually is news or like react slop. So it's just kind of like, yeah, no, that's basically from my observations too. Pre-watch? No, I didn't. I just like to learn from men, okay? Unironically, pretty much like none of my viewpoints are original. They all are taken from men. From all the years of watching Sargon to just scrolling on Twitter every single day, a little bit too much. Like, probably my most quote unquote original thought is that men are the romantic sex. And I stole that from a Twitter poster I really like. And I've been talking about, about it a lot more because I want to push that because I do think that it's a genuine um idea, right? I do think it's something that should be discussed a lot more, and hopefully somebody smarter than me can expand it even further. But I stole that from a Twitter poster that I follow. Like that's it. So actually got to the point where I convinced Arch about it, which made me very happy. I know he talked about it in one of his videos a little bit more recently, or at least his streams, that men are the romantic sex. Uh or maybe it was one of the live streams, I don't know. But basically Arch Warhammer, right? Arch guest. Um Start is now believing in that too. So it means it's a good sign. It's a good sign, right? I'm getting the message out, but it's still not original thought by me. It's just by somebody else. Uh, oh, I got it. I got it from Revenant on Twitter. Not Remnant, who we're watching. Revenant on Twitter. Back when the whole milking farm discourse was starting last year, back in like October or something like that. I saw that tweet and I was just like, huh. That's kind of a good point. Let me mull on this a little bit. I wanna think about this a little bit more. And I talked about it quite a little bit on the streams. And it didn't take me very long to be convinced on it as I saw more and more, and then actually read Milking Farm. Thanks to Arch there. And then I talked about it on the Milking Farm stream there. So yeah. Um thank you, Nameless World, for the $10 reduce. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to have a relationship with a woman at church. I was being patient, but then she left and became a leftist. Had a kid and is blaming the guy. No, I'm not interested in her at all. Well, that's completely understandable. Oh, interesting. I wonder how old she was. I mean, you don't have to share the details, but usually women leave the church at a young age and then come back later. So if she was older and then left and then became a leftist, that's a red flag in itself. Um, so, yeah. And it's also important to note, and I'm saying this as an agnostic, but once again, who's observing the online discourse within the religion, like, let's say Christianity in general, right? Because there's the Catholics, the Orthodox, the Lutherans, and the Protestants in general, right? Because of being in the right wing spaces, I do get inundated with a lot of their content there. The church woman, yeah, they're not much different than actual real leftists because the church does not do a good enough job protecting them from modernity. It's quite unfortunate.
Can she or any other women be blamed for that? No. Think about it this way. If you broke the law and you were taken to court, and then the judge asked you what your punishment should be, what would you say? Judge, yeah, I broke the law, but come on, you don't need to throw me in jail for it. I won't do it again, I promise. I'm a changed man. I said I'm sorry. I'm a changed man. I've repented. Please forgive me. You might not say that word for word, but that's the mentality we're working with. So can you really expect anything different from these women? Nah. I mean, after all, it's extremely hard to remain unbiased in a situation where they put you in the hot seat. Can you call these women grifters or liars? No, they are just defending themselves. However, that does not mean you should listen to them, especially if you're a man. As remember, most people agreed already that there are consequences for a woman leading this promiscuous lifestyle. Everyone pretty much already agreed that her husband will be taking on this baggage as well, which means you ultimately have a bunch of women telling you a real man, a real Christian, a good person would do this thing that hurts you and benefits me. In fact, if you don't marry her, that's evil. You don't have the forgiveness of Christ in you. You end up paying the price for their mistakes. All of this that I just described to you is subversion. Let me give you another example. Let's say that I was an American and I flew to Brazil and I became a Brazilian citizen. In fact, I love Brazil so much that I decide to run for office. And while I do, one of my main talking points is that Brazil should send billions and billions of dollars to the United States. I tell Brazilian voters that giving massive amounts of money to America somehow makes Brazil stronger and benefit.
I like how he's using Brazil for this. I wonder if it's a reference to Sam Hyde, because in his first like real big video, the Elon Musk one that was really popular back in January of last year, that also is the one that took off my channel. Or was it the one after that? I can't remember. But basically, Sam Hyde was using a Brazilian for a little bit of a euphemism, a little bit of a jokey joke, for tiny hats or hand rubbers, the shackle shakers, Israelis, you could say. And so I wonder if it's that reference. I was using Brazilian myself for a little bit until I was using it so much that people thought I was actually being legitly serious and calling me an idiot for thinking that I thought somebody was Brazilian because they didn't get the joke. And I was like, okay, maybe I should probably stop using Brazilian, because it's clearly not actually working out. And there's quite a lot of people were thinking that too. So it's like, ah, well, fuck. Okay, well, anyways, so I just wonder if it's a slight reference to Sam Hyde, or maybe he just chose Brazil just because a little funny. There, just out of curiosity. Mm. The Candyman, yes, the Candyman.
Benefits their citizens. That is a clear-cut, easy example of subversion. And that is what women are subconsciously doing in politics. That is what they're doing when they enter your spaces. They're telling you men that it is objectively good to do something that helps them at your own expense. They do all this while pretending to be in the same group as you, despite the clear conflict of interest. But again, not all women are the same. Look at my mom. My mom is a woman, yet at the same time, she gave the exact opposite answer. Why is this? It's because of our identity. Our identity is crucial in politics. Her identity with the example I gave made her identify with me. She wants what's best for me, and what benefits me at the end of the day is to not marry a woman with a high body count. That is why she has a different answer. Now, what's the solution to this? How do we protect ourselves from subversion? This is the most important part of the video, and it's going to take a turn you probably didn't expect. You, as the viewer, need to figure out what your identity is. Who are you? What group are you currently a part of? The less defined and more vague your identity is, the more prone it is to subversion, the more you are going to be taken advantage of. And the left, mind you, is very aware of this, and it's worked out for them. For example, what if you go up to a feminist and say that abortion is wrong? If you're a man, they'll tell you that your opinion doesn't matter, because it's not for you to decide. It's for their in-group them as women to decide. What if you're a white man and you're talking about reparations to a black man? They'll say that your opinion, again, doesn't matter because you're not black. You're not part of their group identity. It's up for them to talk about it, not for you as a white man. That is identity politics. And as much as the mainstream conservatives and boomers like to say that it's wrong, don't listen to them. They will look you straight in the face and say that the only identity that really matters is being an American. That's the only important thing to me at the end of the day. We're all one nation under God, one people. That is stupid. That is how we are currently where we're at today in the West. We did not gatekeep our identity. We didn't look people straight in the face and say, you're not one of us, so we don't care what you have to say. America, this
I didn't want to pause because he's doing a great job explaining this, but it's 100% true. I'll say it in dumb Floyd speak instead of his elegant white man speak. Um, Tribal. Be tribalistic. Tribal politics are real and essential to the discourse and just politics in general. Because he's correct. Everything is based off identity, which is why the left has been able to win so much. And that's why they do work on identity politics. They're able to corral the minorities, right? The outcasts, the LGBTQ plus gender goblins, the blacks and the browns, the different misfits, those on welfare. Excuse me, the laziness, all that fun stuff. They're able to get all of them kind of working together, even though a lot of them do have this like interests that are contradictory to each other, like Muslims and women, for example. Why? Because they pander to each of their identity when it's necessary, whichever one gives them the upper hand in the card, because identity is essential. You are a white American man, and frankly, American just means white, but still. And so, therefore, you need to do what's the interest for you being a white American man. For being white, that means having white only communities, because believe it or not, other races actually have different cultures and customs. You can look at it clear as day. As a man, you need to do things that benefit you, whether that means advancing your career or marriage and having kids, whatever the case is. And then being American, you need to get rid of Brazil, as he put in his little reference, or any other foreign country's interests there. And then you just need to divide it down further and further. That, like, what your religion is. Okay, Christian. Okay, what kind of Christian are you? Are you Catholic? Are you Lutheran? Are you Orthodox? Okay, what benefits you? Because that's actually how you figure out your political lines and what's best interest for yourself, for your family, for your friends, and your community by working along those lines. It is essential. You can't just ignore it and say, "Oh, I'm just an American." Because nowadays, anybody can be an American. It's been that way, unfortunately, for decades at this point, and the Supreme Court decided to uprule the birthright citizenship. So literally anybody can be an American. That is a useless identity in the modern age. We can take that back, by the way. I'm not saying American identity is useless completely, but until actual real Americans, which are white men, actually take it up and actually fix it, it is a useless identity to have. You can't just do that, or else you're just gonna have plenty of third world hordes coming in. You're gonna have women being whores, and you're gonna have the whole transgender shooter mess, and everything else in between that we still currently have to this day. It's everybody is tribalistic. You can look at sports ball, for example, like the World Cup that's been going on. Everyone's been cheering on for their nation regardless. But if you want to, like, bring it at a more local level, like football teams are highly tribalistic. Uh, whether you really like guns or not, that's highly tribalistic. Or he brought up the abortion argument. What kind of, I don't know, house do you like? More modern or more rustic? Like, those are all very opposing lines that you draw. Some of them are more serious than others, but a lot of people take very seriously because what you're interested in and who you are is important to your identity and what you vote for and the policies you create, dear. Uh, so, hmm. The 112 is coming out strong today. I love being a midwit. Uh, uh,
giant melting pot of identities, is one of the most subverted nations in the West. How did this happen? Because we just let anybody come to America and decide how this country is run. We will have foreigners come into our nation and say, unless you give billions of dollars to us, you are un-American. That is subversion. And that happened because you decided that the only thing that really mattered at the end of the day was to simply identify as an American. Any other characteristics that you can't control aren't important. You are getting cucked if you don't have a clearly defined identity. What needs to be done is for you to take a good solid look at yourself in the mirror and ask who you are. The more defined your identity is, the more you gatekeep who you really listen to, the less prone to subversion you are. Does that mean I can't hear out what a woman has to say? No. However, if you're a woman telling me how to be a real man and it just so happens to benefit you more than it does me, I'm gonna look at you with some skepticism. I'm far less trusting of you. That's how I think you should go about these things. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this helped.
There is a, I mean, he didn't exactly explicitly say it, so I'll add it in here. You need to be a little bit more worried about, like, being in an echo chamber, for example. I know it's a very, like, centrist, you know, have a fence stuck up my ass, Tim Pool beanie man position there. But, like, it is important to try not to become super inside siloed off with everything, because there are differing of opinions and some of them are right. Like, how did you get here in the first place? Were you born originally right wing? In some cases, probably yes, especially for the case of men, especially if you were raised in a household and you didn't actually reject your parents and have your whole teenage rebellion phase and all that kind of fun stuff. But for most people, it has been a very casual, gentle shift to the right over time because they saw various little things we disagreed with and then looked a little bit more into it, listened to more opinions, people smarter than them, and shifted more further right. And then that continued on further and further and further that way. People aren't just born with certain political ideologies installed within their brain. And so it is important to listen to both sides. And even if you are, you know, firmly planted your feet on the ground, you know, you've had your political positions for years at this point, they haven't changed in ages because you're content and all set. It's still good to listen to the other side, not to try to agree with them, but at least come from their point of view, because you can't argue against them if you can't understand them. And if you don't understand your enemy, then you can't know how to attack them properly to dismantle them. And so don't get too siloed off in the biblical realm. You still should listen to the opposite side. Even women, I know, horrible, horrible thought to think they listen to a Floyd's fucking speak, just so you can kind of understand where they're coming from for different things like this, and then tell them why they're wrong, because you're a Chad and you know better than a dumb fucking Floyd. From there, also the fact that I'm gonna throw this in here too, um, but it's also good to stop doom scrolling and log off the internet as well. It's obviously good to try to gate peep and stand your ground, but it's also good to stop doom scrolling so much because algorithm does show you what you like or in a lot of cases what you hate to keep you on there. And that will reinforce your position, which is, you know, kind of good for you, but it's also very blackpilling. Like hopping on Twitter and seeing more horrors being horror situation, that's not pleasant for anybody to watch. Or NWAs being NWAs and, you know, looting up another store. Right? Whatever the case is, it's great. Okay, I've seen of the same video a million times, it's just a different face, right? It's nice to get that confirmation, but it's also really depressing that it keeps on happening. And so sometimes you just need to log off. Mm,
You out more than you initially expected. Also, thank you so much to the patrons that continue to support the channel. It really means a lot to me. But that's it for this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.
that was a really good video. But Remnant does a pretty good job just in general with things. Like I said, he's more eloquent. I love his editing style.
Punishment should be
Absolutely adore it. It's so good. I love this little him on the boat with the rain and then The little angry bunny there. I don't know. I just uh yeah. Oh, that's I did not mean to copy and paste that. I meant to hold on, wait a second. I'm being retarded. I was trying to put the link in chat, and it's not what I wanted to put. There we go. That's better. But yes, he does good work on his videos, and he was very succinct in his points, and I agree with basically everything because I'm a good Floyd and I like to listen to men. Because men know better than me. Um, there. So, just, I guess, little shout out and thank you to him for that. I've been feeling the malaise for 2 months now, then it's time to hop off. It's time to hop off, my dude. Disconnect. Turn off the Twitter. Stop watching streams. Whatever it takes. There for you to just, not do it. It's good to take a break from politics. I'm saying this as somebody who is also currently taking a break from politics. Well, I guess not exactly right now because we watched this video and it's very political in its own sense. I guess it's a little bit more cultural than political. I think they go hand in hand. But it's nice to just normie max sometimes to put your head in the sand because when you're just doom scrolling all day. Okay, am I gonna see an Enwa in my timeline here? Let's see. Okay, I love Max stuff. That's good. Okay, wait, we got wonderful statistics. Probably no surprise for why these two groups of Americans barely understand each other and politically focus on different things. Let's see. Most common age in 2024 among whites. Here. Oh, 63? Age and race United States. From 2024. Oh, it's by Camus. He does good work. He's a great statistician. Let's see. Multiracial is 9 years. Asian is 35. Blacks are 33. Hispanics are 17. Yeah, this is bad. See, once again, talking about like blackpilling and stuff like that. This is abysmal. There's still more whites at the moment in the Gen Z category than there are for the browns, but like it's rising. It is definitely rising here. Especially when the average, most common age is 63 years old. I've said this many times, but when the boomers die out, America's gonna go from 55% white to like 30-some% white. And they are slowly dying out, as you can see as the graph goes down here. Like, it is bleak. And once that happens, this line is going to fucking crash. Because there's a reason why there's no brown boomers. Because they didn't exist in America back then. You might every once in a while see a black boomer, as you can kind of see there's a little bit of them in here. But if they didn't die to gang violence or obesity, then they managed to survive, and they're probably older black women. But like that's it. It's like they didn't exist because they weren't born here. They've only been imported in the past like 30-some years. It's going to be bad. So, America's already Brazil 2.0? Yeah, I would basically agree. So, yeah. So anyways, this is exactly my fucking example here. Let's see. I'm just gonna save this real quick. But yeah, I'll hop on Twitter and basically the first thing I see, other than Mac posting something wholesome, which was nice. She does that from time to time. Where is it at? I don't use Twitter enough anymore. For good reason. It's just more blackpilling things. It's not fun. It's not pleasant here. Whatsoever. And so it's just nice just to log off. The fuck? Okay. It's just nice just to log off a bit. Thanks, Amal. I'm sad again. Can we do more React Slop instead? Sleepy, you were complaining about this being typical Floyd hating Floyd React Slop here. Time for deportation segregation. Agreed here. So, Remnant's rabbit made me happy though. It is really cute. I can't complain. I'm here for Amal's pep talks. Is this really a pep talk? Because I feel like it's more, a little bit more depresso talk here. This is why I've taken a break from politics. I'm doing a little bit better now. I'm okay with doing it like a little bit, maybe like once a week or a little bit right now. You know, this kind of chilling a little bit. But it's like it's still not pleasant because it's the same conversation over and over and over again, and nothing is changing. We got whores being whores here and trying to defend themselves. We got trannies existing and porn addiction and the connection of it. Well, we have more racial demographic topics, right? Like, um, okay, this is actually wholesome. Here we go. Here's some wholesome content. Um, Craig from Side Scrollers got a new puppy and she's actually adorable. So you know what, chat? I'll play this little clip for you. We can do this little wholesome content right here. How about that? Hmm.
Oh my god.
Aw.
Look, I want to touch the ears. That's so
There
soft.
she is.
Oh my
There
god.
she blends right into my shirt.
Where'd she go? Come on, bring her back.
There she is. Look at her.
See? Adorable puppy. I want to pet him so bad. I want to pet her so bad. I just I was like I saw this and I was like I want to steal this puppy. I love dogs so much. Eh.
She is.
Oh, she's a sleepy thing.
Yeah, well, she's been up and about, and
She really does look quite tired. I just want to pet her and hold her like a little baby and just.
she's been good. She's been good. She did the whole wake up overnight multiple times, and to my wife's credit, she treated her like an infant and soothed her and stuff while I woke up early this morning to play with a puppy. So yes, June is here, and this is the newest member of the household, and she.
I kind of want to get a puppy myself, but I don't because I still have my dog, who I still call a puppy because he's literally 5 pounds of pure cuteness. But he's also really old, and I feel like if I get a puppy, then it's gonna be like replacing him. And I don't want to replace him, and plus, I don't want to the puppy's gonna take so much of my attention instead of him, and I know that's gonna make him depressed. I've heard like getting other chihuahuas can actually be quite beneficial for them. And I've heard some older dogs actually like having a puppy. It makes them feel young as well. But I don't know. I'm just I don't know. I want to get a puppy because they're adorable, and I love dogs, but I still have my older dog to take care of, and I love him dearly, and I don't want to replace him whatsoever. But then again, I see puppies on the timeline like this, and I'm like, but I want a puppy.
Is wonderful.
It is adorable. Old man puppy, yes, very much so. He is a very old man at this point in time. He's 16, or is he turning 17 in September? I had to do the math to remember how old he is at this point in time. But yeah, I think he's turning 17 in September, if I remember correctly. And he's a Chihuahua, and he's adorable. A lot of ways he still acts like a puppy, but he's definitely getting older. He doesn't have as much energy anymore. He doesn't really play as much anymore. He has more accidents in the house. Again, needs, or at least needs to go outside a little bit more frequently. Gets very lost and confused, going deaf, wanders around. Just there's definitely lots of signs that age has come, but I still love him dearly. And after stream, I will be cuddling him a lot. So, Craig will be on the Timcast tomorrow, so he needs all the uppers of dogs to be there. Well, good for him to be on the Timcast. Cause like, I don't know, Tim Pool was not as notable as he used to be, in my personal opinion. But he's still quite famous and still has a very big podcast, and so it's actually quite cool to see Craig get on there because that would be good boosting for side scrollers. So good for him. Good for him. There. My parents had a Pomeranian that lived to 22. That's impressive. Good for them. I'm always tiny. Actually, yes, I do like smaller dogs. Big dogs are nice when they're owned by other people. I don't really like big dogs for myself because I'm lazy. Right, big dogs need lots of walking and playing, lots of attention there, and they're fun when other people own them because you go over to their house and you play with them there. But to constantly need to take care of them like that for like 24/7, that's just not for me. I like small dogs because, and guess what? Small dogs lay on your lap and fit on your lap. It's great. You can also sleep in my bed. Like my dog sleeps between my legs or on my side, you know, and he fits perfectly. It's great, and I can still play with him. I used to play with him every single day. Nowadays, with him being old, he doesn't really want to play as much. But every single day when I get home from school, I would throw up on the bed because once again he's small, and I would play with him for a while until he get all tuckered out. If he had zoomies, he could run around the house and be adorable. It's like having a cat, but in a dog form, and it's so much better that way. Absolutely adorable, and they're eternally puppies. Cannot complain. It's great. I love small dogs. They're perfect for me. If a mom gets a big dog, it would be taller than her. I mean, my dad's got a German Shepherd, and she's quite big. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with my dad's dog. I mean, I take care of her, but just not my style, not my thing, whatsoever. So I have experience with both small dogs and big dogs and small dogs, and yeah, small dogs are the way for me. Just how it is. Hmm. Ah. Ah. English bulldogs are substantial domains for lazy people, but they don't live long. Yeah, bulldogs can send me a little bit of a tangent because I just like pugs in general, kind of within the same like category there, because they've been so inbred and mistreated that they have terrible fucking health issues, and I think that's absolutely evil in my personal opinion. So another one of the benefits of Chihuahuas, you don't have that problem. But if I want a slightly bigger dog, I really like Jack Russells a lot. I don't know. It's slightly bigger, still gonna be in your lap, still a little bit heavier though. But if you want something a little bit more, let's say, solid and not as fragile and small, Jack Russells are great. I love Jack Russells. Great dogs. Let's see here. So, I see Sleepy and chat demanding Iron Guard reaction here. Should I listen to his whims? Or this Cornello Codreno on democracy, the nation, and resurrection here. Iron Guard, please. You say that, but what does chat want? Do they want the Iron Guard? You know? Totally safe for YouTube here. Sounds interesting. Yes, watch it. Okay. Okay. Well, sure. We got some time to kill. Let's learn a little bit more tonight about various history facts.
Alright, so today I'll be reading from Cornelius Eleo Codriano. The intro will be a word for my legionaries, which was a speech delivered on the 10th anniversary of the Legion, and then his reflections from former legionaries on democracy, the nation, and its ultimate goal. Alright, and so a quick introduction to what is a legion. It's the Legion of the Archangel Michael. It existed in Romania during the interwar period, and obviously Cornelius Eleo Codriano was at its head. And so right now I have a copy of The Saint of the Prisons by Monk Moise in front of me. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name right, but it must be said from the onset that before all else, the legionary phenomena was a wave of feeling or sentiment, a state of spirit. It has been observed that Romanians are generally not receptive to doctrines but to spiritual states. This is certainly true with respect to the Legionnaire movement. According to those who experienced it, it was rather a spontaneous phenomenon, a state of spiritual resonance, a response to internal searching, than a collective adherence to a doctrine. The Legionnaires were convincing to others through their manner of living, through their example, through what they transmitted. They had a faith and a decisiveness that others found stimulating. Alright, then skipping ahead a bit. The Legionnaires' behavior was clearly reflected in the communist prisons, where they showed the true measure of their worth. Of the hundreds of thousands of political prisoners, a significant number came from among their ranks.
I just want to point out, it's just, I don't want to say it's weird. It's kind of depressing, kind of nice at the same time to see so many white people in one place. Like, it's always strange to me to actually see just tons of whites like this at this point in time. Because even though where I live is decently white, it's just there's always still a speckle of some sort of mystery meat brownoid creature in the distance. And just to see a nation in multiple different photos with tons of white people, both men and women like this, it's just it's so foreign to me. Like, it's nice. I want this for America, but it's also so strange. I like. It's just it's one of those like those posts you see on Twitter where the echoes of the past you no longer remember, because you look at videos from like London from the 50s to 60s 70s even to the 80s, same thing, or like New York City, like you just a bunch of white people going about their day, nothing crazy. Obviously still crime was happening, right? People were still getting raped and murdered, and thievery was amok, but like nothing to the point it is today, and it actually just looks genuine English or genuine American, or because that's what it was until recently, until basically living memory for a lot of people, except for Zoomers like me. It's just strange, but anyways, uh,
In any case, the finest and largest number of Orthodox prisoners were Legionnaires. So obviously you can tell that the movement has a high focus on the spiritual, and so in that sense, it's almost a parallel to Phalangism in Spain. Though I would say Phalangism was more political than the Legion, but we don't need to get into that. Anyways, the first one. A word from our Legionnaires, delivered on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of the founding of the Legion of Michael the Archangel. Dear comrades, after 15 years of struggle, persecution, and lives sacrificed, the youth of Romania must know that the time of legionary victory is at hand. All of the enemy's attempts against us will be crushed. All plans to tempt us, all endeavors to buy our souls, all endeavors to divide us, as well as any betrayals among ourselves, all will fall to the ground. Look them right in the eye. All you tyrants, endure with resignation all blows, support any torture, for the sacrifice of all of us will be the foundation of iron, of broken bodies, and of tortured souls for victory. Those from among us who will fall will have heroes' names and graves, while those who will kill us will carry the stigma of traitor and will be accused from generation to generation. From the depths, the legionary emerged victorious. With his soul of rock, those believing they can defeat him, as well as those who can think they can buy him, will be convinced soon, but too late, that they were mistaken. Alright, now a few remarks on democracy. This comes from former legionaries. I should like to make a few remarks, derived from daily experience, in a manner that can be understood by any young legionary or worker. We wear the clothes and embrace the forms of democracy. Are they worth anything? We don't know yet, but we do know one thing, and we know it for sure, that some of the largest and most civilized nations of Europe have discarded those clothes and have acquired new ones. Did they get rid of them forever? Other nations are doing their best to dispose of them and to get new ones also. Why? Have all nations gone mad? Are the Romanian politicians the only wise men in the world? Somehow I doubt it. Those who have changed them, and those who want to change them, must each have their own reasons. But why should we concern ourselves with other nations' reasons? Let us rather concern ourselves with the reasons that would make us Romanians ready to change the clothes of democracy. If we have no reasons to do so, if the reasons are no good, then we shall keep the clothes, even if all of Europe should get rid of them. However, they are no good for us either, because democracy destroys the unity of the Romanian nation, dividing it among political parties, making Romanians hate one another, and thus exposing a divided people to the united congregation of Jayish power at a difficult time in the nation's history. This argument alone is so persuasive as to warrant the discarding of democracy in favor of anything that would ensure our unity or life itself, for disunity means death. Democracy makes Romanian citizens out of millions of Jays by making them the Romanians' equals, by giving them the same legal rights. Equality? What for? We've been here for thousands of years, plow and weapon in hand, with our labors and blood. Why equality with those who have been here for only 110 or even 5 years? Let's look at the past. We created this state. Let's look at the future. We Romanians are fully responsible for Greater Romania. They have nothing to do with it. What could be the responsibility, Jays, in the history books for the disappearance of the Romanian state? Thus, no equality in labor, sacrifice, and struggle for the creation of the state, and no equal responsibility for its future. Equality? According to an old maxim, equality is to treat unequally the unequal. What are the reasons for the Jays demanding equal treatment, equal political rights with the Romanians? Democracy is incapable of perseverance. Since it is shared by political parties that rule for 1, 2, or 3 years, it is unable to conceive and carry out plans of longer duration. One party annuls the plans and efforts of the other. What is conceived and built by one party today is destroyed by another tomorrow.
Hey, that's basically my point that I've made a few times about being anti-democracy. And so far I'm just listening. Because, like, I don't really have anything to add. Like, I'm not exactly a fan of democracy myself, so I do actually kind of agree with these points. And I've said quite a few times before, one of the big failures of democracy is the fact that it's only there for a few years, and then if they get anything done, it gets dismantled with the next presidency or regime. And if they don't get anything done, well, because they weren't able to dismantle the previous one, like it defeats itself. So nothing too crazy here. Though it's funny how he just says Jays instead of, the actual real word there. It's nice little YouTube censorship. Because, yes, you're correct. This feels like a weird topic. Wait until YouTube draws a line between these guys and funny Germans. See, the funny thing is, they're very similar. They are related. I know Sleepy can explain in more detail as to how and the differences and stuff like that. But no, they are very much actually related. So, yes.
In a country in which much has to be built, in which building is indeed the primary historical requirement, this disadvantaged democracy constitutes a true danger. It is a situation similar to that which prevails in an establishment, where masters are changed every year, each new master bringing in his own plans, ruining what was done by some and starting new things, which will in turn be destroyed by tomorrow's masters. Democracy prevents the politician's fulfillment of his obligations to the nation. Even the most well-meaning politician becomes, in a democracy, the slave of his supporters because either he satisfies their personal interests or they destroy his organization. The politician lives under the tyranny and permanent threat of the electoral bosses. He is placed in a position in which he must choose between the termination of his lifetime work and the satisfaction of the demands of party members. And the politician, given such a choice, opts for the latter. He does so not out of his own pocket, but out of that of the country. He creates jobs, sets up missions, commissions, sinecures, all rostered in the nation's budget, which put increasingly heavy pressures on a tired people. Democracy cannot wield authority because it cannot enforce its decisions. A party cannot move against itself, against its members who engage in scandalous malfeasance, who rob and steal because it is afraid of losing its members. Nor can it move against its adversaries, because in doing so it would risk exposure of its own wrongdoings and shady business. Democracy serves big business Because of the expensive, competitive character of the multi-party system, democracy requires ample funds. It therefore naturally becomes the servant of the big international J-ish financiers, who enslave her by paying her. In this manner, a nation's fate is placed in the hands of a clique of bankers. The nation. When we speak of the Romanian nation, we refer not only to the Romanians currently living on the same territory, with the same past and the same future, the same habits, the same language, the same interests. When we speak of the Romanian nation, we refer to all Romanians, dead or alive, who have lived on this land of ours from the beginnings of history and will live on it also in the future. The nation includes all Romanians currently alive, the souls and tombs of the dead and of our ancestors, all who will be born Romanian. A people becomes aware of its own existence when it becomes aware of its entirety, not only of its component parts and their individual interests. The nation.
Actually, to tie this back to the Remnant video that we watched before this, going like with the whole tribal discussion, there that this is once again a very important intrinsic part of society and how culture works, which our ancestors from not that long ago, mind you, because this guy was like around in like the 1930s, if I remember correctly. Sleepy can correct me, in the chat, but it's like it wasn't that long ago that we understood that the people are its nation. And the nation is its people. You can't just change them out and expect it to be the same. It's not the ship of Theseus here. Like it will be different. I mean, hell, even kind of boomers inherently understand this. There's a reason why it's so proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. You know that's such a big deal because you're calling upon your people to rise up and stand for whatever it is the nation represents. But if you just ship somebody brand new over the border that happens to be pregnant with another brownoid inside of it, and then expect it to assimilate, adopt the language, and have the same values from the get go, that's delusional. That's impossible. Like the people are its culture, the culture is people, the people are its nation, nations are its people, and it's you cannot forget that, or else Romania would not be Romania without the Romanians, which are whites, Slavs from Eastern Europe, that have its own deep, rich history that frankly I don't even really know that much about, other than like Vlad the Impaler, but like they still have their own stuff, right? They have their own culture. They have their gypsies and everything else kind of like in between, right? And I know the gypsies have always been cast out and made fun of. They just happen to live mostly in Romania. Um and so, like, and the Romania is different than Germany, and Germany is different than France and Spain. Like, no matter if they are white, they are still different with different language, different culture, different way of doing things, because that's how they are as a nation, because of its people that way. It is intrinsic and it's cyclical, and we've forgotten that. Mm. So, I don't know much about Romanians. Aren't you friends with V? I know whatever V has told. V doesn't talk about Romanian politics all that much because, well, no one really cares about Romanian politics. So, like, I just know his own personal story. Like, I know that he was born when the Cold War was still happening, because he talked about it on his channel before. Um, and living under communism at a very young age, and what his parents did. Uh, and some things I know about how there's different parts of Romania that still doesn't have running water and electricity, but it's still basically like peasant territory. It's that rural where they literally don't have those basic amenities and necessities that most of the West would consider to be, essential for literally living in the modern age. They don't have it there. Um, so I know different things. I know like Bucharest being the capital, it's very westernized compared to the rest of the country. But like history wise, I don't know fucking jack shit about it basically. And then Vlad the Impaler, um, like because he doesn't talk about that kind of stuff, and well, I guess I don't really ask him. Everything I know is from listening to him from all the years that I was watching him on his channel. I know things about him, like his pet pigeon that he had for a while. He also used to make videos years ago now about how to teach cats trick. Little cute 15 to 20-second videos of I remember of just like him taking his cats because he used to have a ton of cats. And basically putting like a little ball of something in like a shoe. And cats are naturally curious, so they see something going into something else and they don't see the object anymore. They automatically want to check it out. And so then they go and then they grab it. And then from there, you kind of have to teach the cat how to like bring it back to you and that kind of deal. So I know different things about him from all those years, but not Romania specifically. Hmm. Thank you, Nameless World, for the $5 reduce. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Romanians are actually Latin. They are a very, very old colony. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. I'm gonna trust your word on that then. Hmm. Teaching cats how to pickpocket. Yeah, well, typical typical Romanian, gypsy situation there, isn't it? Oh. Oh no, V's a cat man. Wait, you didn't know V's a cat man? He used to have like 3 or 4 cats back in the day. I don't know how many cats he's got anymore. I remember he would complain on his live streams that his cat would be pulling at the door wanting to come in because cats really hate closed doors as they want to see everything. It's their territory and they want to check their territory. Even if, like, that's why cats, when you open the door, they just like peek their head in and then they just like, then they leave. They just want to make sure that the room is normal and safe because it's their territory. But yeah, little different cat facts that I may or may not have actually picked up from V himself because he's a cat man. Anyways,
Possesses a physical, biological patrimony, the flesh and the blood, a material patrimony, the country's soil and its wealth, a spiritual patrimony, which includes its concept of God, people, and life. This concept constitutes a possession, a spiritual patrimony. The limits of this domain are set by the limits of the brilliance of the concept. There is a country housing the national spirit, the expectations of that spirit, a spirit resulting from revelation and the nation's own efforts. Its honor, which shines in proportion to the acceptance by the nation, during its historical existence, of the norms derived from its concept of God, people, and life. Its culture, the fruit of its life, the product of its own efforts in thought and art. This culture is not international, it is the expression of the national genius of the blood. The culture is international in its brilliance, but national in origin. Someone made a fine comparison. Bread and wheat may be internationally consumed, but they always bear the imprint of the soil from which they came. Each of these 3 patrimonies has its own importance. All 3 must be defended by the nation, but the most important of all is the spiritual patrimony, because it alone bears the seal of eternity. It alone transcends all times. The ancient Greeks are with us today, not because of their physiques, no matter how athletic. Those are only ashes now, nor because of their material wealth, if they had such, but because of their culture. A nation lives forever through its concepts, honor, and culture. It is for these reasons that the rulers of nations must judge and act not only on the basis of physical and material interests of the nation, but on the basis of the nation's historical honor, of the nation's eternal interests. Thus, not bread at all costs, but honor at all costs. The nation's ultimate goal. Is it life? If it be life, then the means whereby nations seek to ensure it become irrelevant. All are valid, even the worst. The question may thus be asked, what are the norms for international behavior? The nation's animal instincts? The tiger in them? Do the laws of the fishes in the sea, or of the beasts in the forest apply? The ultimate goal is not life. It is resurrection, the resurrection of nations in the name of Jesus Christ, the Savior. Creation and culture are only means, not the purpose, of resurrection. Culture is the fruit of talent, which God implanted in our nation and for which we are responsible. A time will come when all the world's nations will arise from the dead, with all their dead, with all their kings and emperors. Every nation has its place before God's throne. That final moment, resurrection from the dead, is the highest and most sublime goal for which a nation can strive. The nation is thus an entity that lives even beyond this earth. Nations are reality also in the other world, not only in this one. To us Romanians, to our nation, as to every nation in the world, God assigned a specific mission God has given us a historical destiny. The first law that every nation must abide by is that of attaining that destiny, of fulfilling the mission entrusted to it. Our nation has not abandoned that goal, no matter how long and difficult has been its own Golgotha. And now we are faced with mountain-high obstacles.
You know, as the resident agnostic here, the whole Jesus stuff doesn't really resonate with me. But I can recognize that I understand the importance of using that language to inspire people by, because religion is important to the culture as well. Like you can't have society and culture without religion. Now, what that religion is will obviously vary depending on the culture in itself. In America, we now have secularism as essentially being the new religion, which is killing us. Like, I might not be religious myself, but it's clearly not working out in our favor going down this route whatsoever. But regardless, it's a good way to tie people together. Because going back to the more tribal identities once again, and reuniting under one religion where everybody does the same customs, um, has same holidays, same rituals. It's a good bonding experience. Like going to church and singing the songs there, and the incense, and the whole entire thing is psychologically proven to unite people and have closer uh, bonds with them. So it is important to actually add into your speech, even if it doesn't really like resonate with me specifically, because everything else you said so far in the speech, we're like what? I can't see. 12 minutes in, I basically agree with. I don't really have much to really add to the commentary wise of things because I don't like democracy. You know, I believe the nation for its people. All that kind of fun stuff. Replace Romanian with American, and obviously, with everybody knows Americans are white. Come on, um, but yeah, it's important to add that to your speech too.
Going to be the weak and cowardly generation that will relinquish under threats the Romanian destiny and renounce our national mission? Alright, now for my own commentary. I think what we're seeing here is Kodrianu. He doesn't really touch specifically on anything politically or economically, but he mixes the language of politics, nation, people, with the language of faith. He's not talking about
It's just sad so many people need religion to do anything. Not to start a religious debate when we're getting to the tail end of stream here, but even as the resident agnostic, I can. It's more along the lines that we are fish swimming in water, right? I get you're not religious either, but we are the fish swimming in the water of religion. Like Catholicism, not Catholic, sorry, Christianity, let's say, because obviously the difference between Catholics and the Protestants. But Christianity in general is essential to white culture, which obviously white culture will vary between America or England or Spain or whatever the case is. But Christianity is essentially a white religion, which is why the left hates it so much. And which is why the establishment is trying to dismantle it. That's why they've been trying to subvert it ever since Vatican II in the case of the Catholic Church. And the Protestants in general just being easy to subvert as well. Like it is a white religion. Is a European aspect of their culture. You cannot have European culture without Christianity in some way, shape, or form. Yes, there was the pagan religions before it. Well, that's part of the history. For the past 1,000 years, it's been Christianity has been the main tenet. How many holy wars have been fought under the banner of Christianity? How many major political moves have been decided under the banner of Christianity? Like it is essential to the European, once again, white culture. And so that's where we get our morals from, is because we are cultural leeches from the Christian denomination, not denomination, Christian dominion here. Like there is a reason why Muslims go boom boom, Allahu Akbar, and love the rape so much. Like because it's the religion, they're following their religion. Infidels get raped. It's that simple. And they see suicide by bomb as a good thing for Allah. Or Indians with Hinduism, and while I'm not going to say I'm an expert in Hinduism, they believe in reincarnation there. So as they don't really as long as they're a good person in their eyes, whatever their moral standards are, they can maybe reincarnate as something different. But then again, rape is still good to them because Indians are just fucking rapists like crazy. Like, just go to Indian Times and there's constant rape stories. There's a story, of a woman who got raped, called an ambulance, and was raped in the ambulance, and then was proceeded to be raped in the hospital as well. Like, they're just rapists. It's that simple. Obviously, Chinese have a different moral code too, which is why they're kind of, assholes and pieces of shit. Like, they're different because religion is an intrinsic part of the culture, and it's not a moral code of who's a good person. Like, we're going based off the Western designs of who's a good person in morality because of Christianity. It's not compatible with China. It's not compatible with the Middle East. It's not compatible with India or Africa because Christianity is European. Hmm. And that's why we think that's what we think are a good person. Hmm.
Oh, we'll do this reform. We'll pass this policy. But he's saying, the nation is called by God to fulfill a mission in history. There's something much deeper. You know, our goal at the end of everything is spiritual, eternal, not fleshly, worldly, temporary. And now for what he said about democracy, because if you saw the previous video on Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera, he said something similar about disunity and unity. So democracy was not evil because of inefficiency alone, but as Codriano says, it fragments the nation. And this is the part where Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera ties in. It reduces people to voters, parties, and clients of money. So in his eyes, this weakened the Romanian people precisely at a time when he says we need unity and sacrifice the most now. And so at the same time, he rejects materialism, whether capitalist or Marxist. So we see both make the individual just a unit. And so Codriano places this in the orthodox understanding. Man is eternal, created in the image of God, and nations themselves are also sort of created by God. He says each nation has its place under God. And so nations themselves have eternal destinies. And so his concept of the nation is striking in that way. It's not about just survival of life. He says it's about resurrection. All nations will rise before the throne of God, each with its kings, and with the dead and the living, and every one of them. And its culture is just the fruit of this mission. And so this is a profoundly orthodox idea, in my opinion, but that history itself is not an end, but a preparation for eternity. So his fusion of theology with social vision, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything he says politically, what he says about theology and society is very striking. He's seeking a spiritual rebirth of his people. His insistence on the eternal dimension of politics to say, looking beyond politics, what is more important? The eternal, the spiritual, God. So, what are the questions that we can reflect on? What is the purpose of a nation? Is it just survival, or is it something higher? Is it about bread alone, or about honor and faith? What does it say in the Bible? Man cannot live on bread alone. For Codriano, the answer is clear. Not bread at all costs, but honor at all costs. Thank you.
Well, I think it's more than just bread alone. I think it's more than just survival myself, but I'm not gonna go too deep into that. If you want to listen to the full video again, because it was pretty dense, I feel. There you go. There's a link in chat right there. Not a bad video. I mean, it's just reading off his speeches. And getting a little bit know about this guy, which I didn't know who the fuck he was until Sleepy told me about him. But Sleepy's an artist about this kind of stuff, just in general. And it's good to know a little bit different historical little facts about various people, especially since it is a little split offshoot of the funny mustache man that everybody adores so much. Uh, so it's just little bit of piece right there, but I don't really have too much to add to it, just because I agree with most of his points basically, if not really all of them, honestly. Like, what's again? You know, Foy just listens to men. Well, that's it. Just repeats their talking points regardless. Uh, so, yep. Okay, chat. So that. We'll probably put the end of it here. Hope you enjoyed the little lecture. At the end. Thank you for sticking around through the end of DMC 1, and then, into this whole React Yappin Slappa. I will be seeing you guys on Wednesday, 7:45 p.m. EST. We should be starting Bioshock then. I'm very excited. The thumbnail looks amazing. And yeah. So Kick Bros, I'm sending you over the leaflet. She's obviously political, so just follow her rules and regulations and don't be too spicy there. And then the YouTube bros, I'm saying over the Mari underscore EN. She's not political, so do not bring up politics there. That's very gay. Don't be gay, okay? No one ever likes the gays, why they get thrown off buildings. And yeah. So thank you for all the subby puppies, donos, and vigorous spankings. I hope you have a good night. Hasta la vista. Bye. 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 Where the fuck's the ending screen? Bye.
I mean, hey, if Pac-Man affected us as kids,